Jamie, who knew the cheating itself could be a business model? This is the new age that we are at, and we'll talk about that. The new app, Cluely.
Yeah, and other than figuring out how to cheat, we'll get into a little bit of potentially how to cheat on making movies with artificial intelligence and how that aligns with the Oscars. Not necessarily on the line of cheating, but we'll also talk about Google and their strong earnings report that was just released.
Okay, and definitely new executive order on the AI. I love that. I think we needed that, and it's the right time to actually get started.
And we'll hit a couple of new launches this week. Perplexity has an assistant for the iOS, and OpenAI also launched GPT-image-1 API version of that. So we'll get into what that means as well.
We're going to launch a new segment today. We will talk about art of the possible. There, we will actually discover a lot of use cases, practical implications, applications of AI, and how it is making difference. And that's how everybody can get inspired and make use of it. Stay tuned, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to the AI Files podcast. If you're looking to stay up to date on the AI, this is the podcast for you. I'm Shadab Hussain. I'm the director of AI at Microsoft, and I'm your co-host.
Hello, everybody. Jamie Basilico, as you know already. I'm the other co-host here for the AI Files. My day job is a data and AI technical specialist and architect. And as a reminder, please note this is not an official Microsoft channel, so the views and opinions expressed by myself and Shadab are our own and do not represent the views of Microsoft.
All right, Jamie. So this week, actually, there was a lot of talk about a new app called Cluely, and the quote of the week is, I quote, I'm not saying this, I quote, cheat on everything, unquote. And that is said by Roy Lee, the co-founder of the Cluely app. Um, so this guy, this guy is just 21 years old, Jamie. So he's less than, he's less age than our own experience individually. So this guy, he's Cluely's CEO. Cluely is a new app which claims that okay, it can actually help, kind of like a hack, but they prefer to actually name it. They prefer to call it cheating, and they say that okay, this is an AI cheating tool. Now, the surprising part is this: they already have $3 million in the annual run rate, okay? And they raised $5.3 million in seed funding. Now, a company with a title or a caption saying cheat on everything is able to start generating revenue as well as getting the funding. Jamie, I don't know what world we are in now. Okay, this is a completely new era. It's going to be fun. By the way, this guy also has another co-founder, and both of them are actually former Columbia student, and they both were suspended. Actually, I think probably expelled. They were basically as part of the disciplinary proceedings because they cheated, and they cheated deliberately, and they cheated honestly in a way that they cheated and they told. So this guy actually, so the story is like this, right? So a lot of companies like Amazon and other companies, the big tech companies, even Microsoft and Google, they all conduct these exams, right? So these are generally the coding kind of test, and they use a tool called like lead code. And what these guys did was actually they developed the hacking way in which you can essentially cheat in those coding exams. And that's what they demonstrated. They passed, they got selected, and then they said that, hey, we cheated, right? And as part of the disciplinary proceeding, they were actually kind of fired, expelled. Now, the thing is this, that is their business model. And they openly declared that they cheated, and they are suggesting that everybody should cheat. And here the premise that they're saying that look, in the life, you will run into a lot of things. You have meetings going on, you have date going on, and things like that, and you need to cheat because you would not know everything. Many times you need to pretend that you know. At that point of time, you need essentially cheating. Now they prefer to call it cheating. Here's the thing: you could as well call it AI assistant. In fact, most of the
Right.
companies do, right? But they prefer to call it cheating because this guy believes in two things: going viral and having a distribution. And there is no better way than going viral. Rather than calling it assistant, call it cheating.
Yeah,
Otherwise, there was no way they were going viral.
I think they're brilliant, to be honest with you, because it's all about marketing. It's not that they've got a product for cheating. They've got a really good marketing slogan that focuses around, we're going to call it cheating. Why? Because we, me, you, everybody is talking about, hey, a company's coming out there to talk about cheating. I look at it as exactly what you just said. When you think about what a AI assistant is, it's there to help you based upon prior knowledge, whether or not you're vibe coding and you don't remember syntax or don't care to. Again, go visit our last episode that we just had with Dan on. That's kind of cheating in a way if you think about it. We've got AI assistants that help people in CRM tools, whether or not you're using Salesforce or Dynamics CRM. We've got these things that help you understand the customer. Is that cheating? I don't think so. That's helping you out. So, I think it's a brilliant marketing, to be honest with you, on,
Exactly.
on what they're doing.
I agree, Jamie. Like the students in the school, right? That they are actually using the Chat GPT sometimes for writing. We have seen a lot of times the schools are also struggling to catch those kind of things. So people are essentially already cheating. What these guys are saying is, hey, cheating itself. Let's make that as a business and let's make it open. So everybody cheats. When everybody cheats, nobody's cheating, right? So it becomes a new
Yeah.
normal. And I would like to actually read their manifesto, Jamie. This is interesting, right? So here is the Cluely manifesto. Here it starts. We want to cheat on everything. Yep, you heard that right. Sales calls, meetings, negotiations. If there's a faster way to win, we will take it. We built Cluely so you never have to think alone again. It sees your screen, hears your audio, feeds your answers in real time. While others guess, you're already right. And yes, the world will call it cheating, but so was a calculator, so was a spell check, so was Google. Every time technology makes us smarter, the world panics. Then it adapts, then it forgets, and suddenly it's normal. But this is different. AI isn't just another tool, it will redefine how our world works. Why memorize facts, write code, or research anything when a model can do it in seconds? The best communicator, the best analyst, the best problem solver is now the one who knows how to ask the right question. The future won't reward effort, it will reward leverage. So start cheating because when everyone does, no one is. Unquote. It's, I think, pretty brilliant
Yeah,
and smart,
it
right?
is. And I wonder if they use their tool to actually help them write that, which hopefully they did.
I'm sure. Now, here's the funny part, Jamie. Cheating, right? I mean, as they're promoting, is available on Mac and Windows. Windows are waitlisted right now. People can subscribe. There's a pro plan that you go for $20 a month. There's a free version as well to try it. And there is an enterprise plan as well. Now, how do you sell that to an enterprise saying, hey, here is a cheating tool? That would be very funny. It will be interesting to see what would happen. Will enterprise subscribe to the cheating tool?
Oh, I think they will, because it's not about cheating. It's how you can leverage data and
I,
information. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, like the startups who are cash strapped, yeah, they won't do anything, right? And again, this is questionable to be honest, whether it's really cheating. But you know, you as you said, right, this is a brilliant marketing play, to be honest, right? And virality is important because ChatGPT, if it was not viral, it would not have seen this day, right? I think it is important to go viral. A lot of customers, companies actually rely on that, and I think it's a brilliant try.
Yeah. I totally agree.
All right, so now let's talk about the cheating, and you alluded to that, Jamie, already. That okay, hey, here's probably the now the Oscars also maybe allow the cheating, and that was in the news, right? The films. So Oscar, which is basically the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, they actually provide this awards called Oscars. They said that okay, films made with the help of artificial intelligence will now be able to win top awards at the Oscars, and they will essentially judge the movies based on how much is a human involvement. However, the use of AI will not exclude those movies from being the contestant in any of the category. Not just one, right? I mean, any of the category you can do. um, this is actually has been a bit hot topic, right? Because recently there was some movies like the Brutalist. By the way, it has some of my favorite actors like Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody. They essentially used AI to actually adjust his accent when he spoke Hungarian. Okay. Then there was another example where again there was an Oscar winning musical, Emilia Perez. There the AI was again used to enhance the singing voices in that movie. And it's a great example of that, how you can actually enhance the quality of the movies, right? Whether it's accent or the music or whatever, not right, or even the effects. So the thing is that, in my view, to be honest, I support this, because why would you avoid, why would you say that, okay, let's exclude AI, AI cannot be, why? I mean, it's just another technology like the VFX or CGI, etc. There's no reason to actually exclude it, so I'm fully supportive of this.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at this point in time. We know that AI is being used, whether or not it's fully disclosed or not. Like an example, as you mentioned, with audio and singing, you probably wouldn't know that unless they fully disclose it. And it just makes the experience more enjoyable. Now, there probably are some, purists out there that say, it's got to be exactly created exactly as it is in the real world. But you think about some of the advancements that were made anyway in terms of just technology that's there in the movies. um, if you said you can't use cell phones, right, that didn't exist 30-40 years ago, at least the cell phones that we have now. So to me, it's just inevitable. These are things that are going to make its way into productions, whether or not it's short movies, long movies, or anything in between.
Exactly. I mean, the technology has been at play. Like, for example, one of the brilliant technology that is now considered normal, right? The motion stabilization, right? The camera stabilization, and that does use actually technology, including the machine learning and AI, to actually learn and mature it. So, I think this is a good, I would say, start, and most of the people support it. And here's the thing, right? I mean, AI. That's what people are also saying, that look, AI is not at a place where it can completely and fully build a movie. It's not yet there, right? It cannot create that powerful kind of a screenplay which has the depth, emotional depth, etc. So it's like quoting someone, right, paraphrasing them, that it's like having a bad writer help you. But you can get an outline done, and it will help you actually get things faster. So why not? And generally, many of the movies actually, they run into like hundreds of millions of dollars of budgets, and if you can cut down some of those costs and timeline, why not? I think it's just a technology.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So speaking of technology, this is a great segue into Google. They, just recently reported very strong earnings. And, you know, if you think about all of the information and all of the news that Google has released, I mean, they had their Google Next conference. They've been, pumping out a lot of great technology. Everything from, the launch of Gemma 3 last month, which delivered, state of the art performance for the size. They released AI-based modeling tools for health. AlphaFold, a great example there. Over 2.5 million researchers are using that tool now. They have hardware in terms of Ironwood, their seventh generation TPU, which is its most powerful to date. So, you add up all these things on top of that, like the video generation tied into what we're just talking about, with Imagine 3, VO2, for again, as I said, video. So there's so many different things that Google is putting out there, and that's just scratching the surface of it. There's plenty more that we could talk about, but what has that culminated into? It's culminated into a pretty strong earnings report. So they had an expected on the street of $2.01. They actually achieved way more than that, $2.81 per share of earnings. So almost a slightly less than 50% more than what was expected. So that's definitely, blowing away what some of the street had expected. Revenue grew as well. They were expecting 89.1 billion in revenue. They topped 90, so 90.23 to be exact. The revenue from Google advertising as a whole was pretty much in line with what was expected. They expected 66.39 billion. They came in at 66.89. One little dip was on YouTube advertising, but not by much. We're talking 8.94 billion expected, and they came in at 8.93. And the Google Cloud revenue was pretty much as expected. But they did have 28% year-over-year growth. So that's a pretty big number when you're talking about cloud revenue that is in the range of 12 billion. So again, all in all, very strong earnings, especially when you look at that earnings per share. But will be interesting to see how this compares against the other big players. I know Microsoft, I think, announces their Q3 earnings next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Microsoft and Amazon goes next week. You know, I would say a couple of things, Jamie, that the Google Cloud a little bit, just slightly missed the street expectation. But again, expectations sometime in my view are greed. So expectation is expectation. This is still a very brilliant growth. The thing is that the growth in the advertising was spectacular, right? So that kind of led them, right, gave them a lot of leeway. There were some other bets also that also actually paid them handsomely. A lot of that was actually driven by AI. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, he said that the AI overview, for example, right, the kind of a snippet that when you search and you get an overview, a kind of a summary of whatever you search for about the topic, that they say that has been growing very, very handsomely. So that's driving a lot of their revenue growth. They are actually also using AI deeply in the targeting of the advertisement. I do feel that there tons of advertisements have the density of advertisement is just too much right now on the YouTube or anything like that. So no wonder they're getting more revenue, but I think it has started to become a little bit irritating. um, by the way, YouTube actually marked 20th anniversary, Jamie, from that first video that they had uploaded. I believe that was something like that. They went to a San Diego zoo, something like that. I think it was a short video of the three founders, something like a visit to the zoo or some. That was the first video they had uploaded,
Yeah.
and it has come a long way.
Yeah, it definitely has. And I did see that on the news, I think last night on my local news broadcast, and they were mentioning that first video. And I think you're right. It was something like going to a zoo. But yeah, you think about where they were with that first video to where they are now, we're contributing to that platform. So it's kind of awesome to see the progression there.
That's true. And of course, there is a need to actually take the AI even deeper and catch them young. With that in mind, White House actually signed another executive order, and this was titled "quote Advancing Artificial Intelligence Education for American Youth." And this has several things, right, as part of this. But one of the things is that basically there will be a White House task force on artificial intelligence education, and this will be chaired by the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and there are several members of it. There are different agencies who will also contribute to this. This task force will establish plans for a presidential artificial intelligence challenge within 90 days. And from then on, the challenge has to be launched. I believe that within a year, that challenge has to be launched and starting to execute. This includes, of course, the imparting of the AI education to the young in the school, but also to the teachers, right, or the educators, so that they are also able to actually teach that. It will require a lot of partnership between the public and private firms, etc. There'll be nonprofits. Everybody will get involved. Essentially, this will be driving the AI revolution on the ground, catching the school, the people in the school young, so that there is a very AI ready workforce in the future. And I think that's important, right, because AI is obviously a national priority for every country, and they will definitely want everybody to be AI savvy.
Yeah, to me, this is important because we have to make sure that our youth that are coming up today are literate on AI. And it goes back to what we're talking about before about cheating. It's not necessarily about cheating, but it's about using these tools. And if our students that are, going through the ranks and graduating, whether it's next year or 12 years from now, if they don't have these base skills in artificial intelligence, what it means at really understanding AI, both from a literacy and just being proficient in its use, I think we will be behind as a society, at least here in the US. So to me, this is imperative that things are done, whether it's done through the White House or some education systems or policies or rules, but it needs to be done in some shape or form.
And I would like to say that we are already a visionary, Jamie, that we, before even this executive order, we established this so that we can contribute to the cause.
Yes, that is true. So, what I kind of want to turn our attention to now is on Perplexity. And I'm going to put out there a bold statement. We'll see how this resonates. But I'm curious if people think that Siri, if they use iPhones, and my phone just woke up. That's funny. Um, did Perplexity just put out a Siri killer? And I'm chuckling because my phone just picked up on everything I just said. So what I'm really getting at is Perplexity put out an assistant for the iOS, for the iPhone. And what it does is it basically allows you to use your phone through Perplexity by asking it anything. So if you think about what Siri does, thanks for putting up the slide. Um, it allows you to ask questions, things like, "Hey, help me understand a a book, or help me understand this context of whatever question that I have." It could also help me doing things like, "Hey, play media, play me this next song." It can integrate with the things on your phone, like drafting emails, making moving meetings on your calendar, booking particular rides, like on Uber, as an example. Setting up reminders, and it's all tied into Perplexity and the large language model. And if you kind of follow some of the things that we've talked in the past, um, you know that Google has kind of made, not Google, sorry, Apple has kind of made some missteps on the way that they've integrated large language models, or Gen AI, into their systems, let alone, as we talk about deep integration inside of Siri. So again, I go back to, you could ask it anything, such as like play podcasts, find hard to search on various different videos, play your favorite song. So um, a funny one I think they had out there was, play me a video of Katy Perry kissing the ground after landing from the rocket. So it's all these things. Now, are there difficulties or things that are a little bit not up to par yet for production? Yeah, there definitely are things. So there's requirements that you have to use Apple Mail and Apple Calendar. So I know that on the radar is integration with Gmail and G Calendar, and because there's a lot of people that obviously use those services from Google. But there are a couple of other things too. It takes a little while to connect when you turn on this voice mode, which is, again, the voice assistant inside of Perplexity on iOS. It takes like 3 or 4 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're waiting for something, it seems like an eternity. And I know Perplexity said that they're going to be working on this to shorten it. Does that mean sub-second? I don't know, but it definitely means a lot less than the 3 or 4 seconds. What one really cool thing, and this is why I said this a quote unquote, waiting for my phone to answer, is this a Siri killer? Is the fact that you can change the action button on your phone to pull up the Perplexity voice mode instead of having to wait and use Siri. So instead of just going into the app and opening it up, you could just do a command from the action button. So it's kind of neat. I did download it. I tried it out a little bit on mine. I haven't put a lot of time into it because, to be honest with you, I don't use Siri in the first place, so I don't really see immediate need. But I will be trying it out a little bit more to see if this could be a nice little replacement for what I do use Siri from the limited amount of time that I do use it for.
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. I think we need apps like this because when it comes to AI, Tim is not cooking, right?
Yeah.
So we need others options as well. So I believe now on the phone, then you can use the option of Perplexity, but you can also, I think, configure ChatGPT also in the similar way, I
Yep.
guess. And then, of course, you have the option of maybe you can do the Gemini app as well, or even the Copilot. So, I think there are plenty of options now on the Mac or the iOS.
Yeah, exactly. I do have, obviously, ChatGPT Plus on my phone as well. I don't really use it that much in that regard. Probably should, and maybe I should do a head-to-head compare of Siri to Perplexity to ChatGPT. So that might be a good thing to do for a future episode.
And not forget Cluely, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, since we just kind of mentioned ChatGPT, all the rage was the image generation. It still is, from OpenAI. Underneath the covers, what's really running that is a new. It's basically an image generation tool built into the GPT model, but it's actually something that OpenAI released as a standalone API for this, more sophisticated image generation tooling, replacing Dolly. So this is called GPT-image-1, which lends me to believe that there will be more in the future if they put a one indicator on it. But as I mentioned before, this is the latest image generation model in the API, which enables developers and businesses to actually do integration of high quality image generation in their tools that they're building or developing, as well as in the platforms. And when you think about what everyone was playing around with over the last couple of weeks with the inclusion of the new image generation, is the ability to actually create images with great versatility, different styles, follow custom guidelines, being able to leverage the world around us to incorporate that into the image generation. And again, all doing that through natural language. Um, when we think about the multimodality, it can allow us to do, and this is the same thing within the API, doing it through text prompts, but also uploaded user images. So I could start to do things through the API where I upload image and then being able to modify that image off of, again, commands that we send into the API for it to act upon. Not only can it generate images, but I could also edit those images through that text transformation, again, just by using the prompts, and also being able to do in painting, which again is being able to edit the images through text prompts, through bounding boxes that are part of the image itself. Now, that alone is pretty cool, but OpenAI also released a set of examples or companies that are going to leverage this, and you'll see this on their website. Companies like Adobe, Canva, GoDaddy, Hotspot, Instacart, NVIDIA. So these are all companies that are looking to use this tooling to help with their own offerings. So an example there, Adobe integrates the image generation capabilities into its Firefly and Express apps. GoDaddy is experimenting with it to help companies with logo design and creation, as well as marketing assets for the websites that are hosted by GoDaddy. So some pretty interesting ways of using these tools. One last thing, there are definitely safety measures into this. So there's different guardrails to help restrict potential harmful images that are created. And then developers can also put in moderation sensitivity controls inside of the APIs that they're leveraging inside of the application. So pricing, again, this is token based. It is $5 per million tokens on input. Image generation is $10 per million. And then image output, image input, it was $10 per million tokens in the representation of that. But the image output is $40 per 1 million tokens equivalency, I guess, in the way that an image is generated. So that's it on the image generation piece. So I would assume a lot of people are going to start to use this now, like I said, into the applications, and Adobe and GoDaddy are just two of those examples.
So this is more towards the GPT-1 or the Image-1 APIs are more towards the, I think, enterprise. I'm assuming that people will probably continue to use the ChatGPT, and I hope the OpenAI retains that in the ChatGPT is still the app where you can actually. I think now they have rolled it out to some of the free version as well,
Yeah,
where people can do that.
Yeah, to answer your question, it's definitely geared towards like enterprises, or it doesn't have to be a large enterprise, even small software development companies that are trying to build something with image generation in it. They could use this API and directly be coupled with it. But it is geared towards developer community that will build things off of it.
Cool. And I think, these APIs are also available in the Azure. Of course, most of the enterprise customers, they directly use within the Azure, and those are also available with the same pricing. One of the thing is that there is also, I think, as Jimmy, you said that like there is a watermark kind of digital signature available, so that it can be identified. It uses basically whatever you generate. It includes the input and output moderation, as well as this that C2PUA kind of digital signature available, so that it can be traced. I think that's important, right?
Yeah.
To avoid any misuse.
Yeah, and speaking on the Azure side, just so everything pretty much is being delivered on day one between OpenAI and Azure. Difference here is, it's not on public preview yet on the Azure OpenAI service. It is being gated right now. So if any company is interested to run these inside of Azure, there's a request form. If you already have been quote unquote gated for use of the O1 model, you don't actually have to reapply. It would fall under that same premise. But just wanted to point that out. For the Azure side, you do need to go through an approval process to be able to use it.
Great. And I think, Jamie, I want to actually give an example of how I've actually played with this. You know, I'll tell you, my childhood, I used to read comics. And I think we all have our own favorite memories of whichever character that we have read the comics about, and we still probably, I would say, fantasize about them. Right. So I
Yeah.
have like fond memories of me reading actually some of the comics, and I still, to be honest, I'm pretty obsessed about that. I often think, and recently I've been having craving of reading some of those old comics that I was searching on the eBay, etc., to buy actually some of the old ones, because those are not actually in print anymore, right? So, and these are example, like for example, Phantom is my like most favorite character. And I just love that, right? The setting, it's like a generation of a superhero who doesn't have superpowers, but basically it's a father son replacement that continue to happen. They wear the same like cape and dress, and everybody thinks that they never die, right? So it's like the ghost who walks, and they basically fight the crime, etc. And it's based out of a person who actually was like attacked by the pirates, and got stranded on an island somewhere in Africa, and that's where the setting is. So it's a wonderful setting, right? A little bit older, 60s, 50s, that kind of setting. And then like a lot of wildlife, etc. I love that. And what I did is I asked, I didn't want to do the Ghiblification of the images. That's already boring. So I asked it this prompt, and I said, it's very simple. In the chat GPT, I said, create image of Phantom comic strip showing him fighting with lion and tigers in 3 panels, right? Very clear instructions. And I'm blown away with the results, because it is so precise in the instruction following, right? So notice this: lion, only one, and tigers, two, right? And then 3 panels. So it actually understood it this way, and this is what it created. And I can tell you that as a diehard Phantom fan, this is amazing. This is actually very close to the original style of it. That kind of a drawing. This is the older type of course, the drawing. So it is, you can imagine, right? This does have a I would say older kind of or retro feeling. And it took 1 panel for a lion and two for the tigers. And I'm like blown away. And I'm gonna actually use it. I'm gonna create my maybe own comic strip, right, with this. So it's just amazing, right? It's incredible, to be honest. We have come a long way, to be honest. In last 1 year, in the image generation, we have come a long way. Now, I would say the instruction following is amazing. The like all those distortions of the text and faces and everything kind of have almost gone away.
Yep.
um
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
yeah, it is pretty cool. I could point out though one flaw in what generated.
I
There,
know.
did you
I
already
think I have
see
the
it?
same one as well that you have noticed. Tell
Yeah,
me.
it's I don't know. It's next to his pants, but it seems like he has a gun holder. But then that doesn't show up in the other. ones, panels 2 and panel 3. So you look
True.
for consistency or hope for consistency in like from image to image. Is that the one you picked up or something else?
Yes, something very similar. Essentially, what I noticed was that it does have a holster. So the original character does carry the guns on the side to holster two guns essentially, and the revolvers, and you can see that it shows the holster but it doesn't show the revolver really. In the
Yeah,
original image you can see actually that the handle of the revolver generally. He doesn't always carry it, so I would assume that it's, I think, okay, because in some of those the other last two panels it doesn't show carry. Yes, he doesn't always carry them, so there are a lot of images, so I think it has been, probably, I would say, not wrong. But yes, there is no consistency because it's not
right.
probably considering it as a
Yeah,
continuous one.
but cool nonetheless. I mean, it's pretty dead on. So
Impressive, absolutely. Okay, so now OpenAI, of course, also actually came out with another announcement. Just a little bit of change, I would say. They already have this deep research agent that you can use in the Chat GPT. Now they've come out with a new lightweight version because deep research does have some limitations. Like if you are a plus subscriber, like you and I are, we get, I think, about eight. You can, like, 8 times in a month you can actually use that deep research agent, and that might change as they are getting more capacity, but it does take longer time, it does take resources. So what they've come out with is something called lightweight version of the deep research tool, which does pretty much same thing. It's claiming that it goes to the similar depth, but it takes lesser time to produce it. And of course, it will be shorter version, but you can continue to use the deep research tool. Once you run out of your credits or whatever your limits are, it will then default to the lightweight model. So essentially, you consider it like something like maybe they're using nano version or mini version to generate this, probably, but it should be faster. Although the little bit of the depth will be missing, it will not be like as full as that. I'll try to do. Probably I think the best way would be that try it out with the exactly same prompt and see what kind of depth you get, and if it is satisfactory, I think that would be something acceptable, maybe.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I use the deep research quite a bit. I mean, I think they might have just upped the totals and what you could use, but it's great to see that these features are being rolled out to a wider audience because I think this will open up even more use of these technologies and people will get a better sense for what they can what they can accomplish. So I think it's a smart move. I think it's also predicated on the fact that some of the other tools, because I believe Google also came out with the ability to run their equivalency on free tiers as well. So I look at this as I love these wars between companies because we as consumers are the ones that benefit in the long run.
True. Copilot also has, by the way, deep research now, so you can use that in there as well. All right, let's go into our new segment, Jimmy. This week, we have talked about some of the use cases in the past as well, but maybe we'll talk more consistently as we focus a lot on the corporate and enterprise users of it, right? So we are not just focused on the consumer, we cover that, but we focus a lot more on the corporate and the enterprise users and the users. Now, here is another application, Dx-GPT, and this is for diagnosing rare diseases. And rare disease diagnosis is tough, to be honest, because it's rare, right? Of course, so that means it is not considered common. When you go to the doctor, it is not something on their mind right away. When you go to the doctor, you tell them certain symptoms, they will look for the most common causes. In fact, that is a problem because a lot of times when you go with like overlapping kind of causes between a rare disease and a common one, you will first be put on a maybe common. Nobody is going to do the deeper checks and say, okay, and start doubting, okay, let me start with the rare disease. And that's what is the problem. So it often gets missed. In fact, so much so that sometimes it doesn't even get diagnosed. Here is a an example of it. Recently, the news came out was about a story. A mother actually, she was essentially taking his son to all the doctors, about 17, okay, 4-year-old son who was showing some symptoms following the COVID-19 pandemic. And this was like excruciating toothaches, delayed growth, and inability to maintain balance. And she consulted a lot of specialists, repeated visits, top tier hospitals. She tried everything, did not leave any stone unturned, but no one could actually pinpoint. Now, what she did is she turned to ChatGPT. She said, she provided all the MRIs and the symptoms and all those report, whatever she had, and she asked the bot for the insights. And just within minutes, ChatGPT suggested that there is a possibility that there is something called tethered cord syndrome, which is a rare neurological disorder. And she took that, she found out a little bit more about it. She searched for some group, Facebook groups, etc., for those parents of children with the similar symptoms. And she found that, and she became more and more convinced that it seems like yes, it is. And then she approached a new neurosurgeon and told him that this is possibly I'm discovering, right? Is it right? I mean, check it. And then that he confirmed that yes, that diagnosis is correct. It is that. And then he later underwent spinal surgery and is now recovering well. So amazing story, right? 17 doctors could not figure. Chat gpt helped in minutes. And of course, finally they did it. Of course, there are a lot of disclaimers and caveats here as well, but this could be very, very, in fact, literally life changing and life saving as well.
Yeah, this is definitely a great story. I mean, if you can think about how we can leverage technology to help, you know, I don't want to say solve medical issues, but maybe provide additional insights onto them that can then be verified and validated, exactly like in this case. I think that's great because, like you said, 17 doctors, what was it, that couldn't figure this out, but ChatGPT did it, in just a couple minutes. That's a great testament to how this technology could be used, and and saves a life in the same token. So I think that's great. I'd be curious if she is a paid user of ChatGPT, and maybe the story goes viral and she gets free use out of it. But that pales in comparison to having a healthy son.
Exactly. I mean, and we have seen it, similar stories a lot of time. In fact, that's not even the whole story. The real story, what I was about to tell, is that there is a new tool called Dx-GPT that has been launched to actually help people identify the rare diseases based on the symptoms, etc. And here is a very quick video from our very own Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, because Microsoft is actually helping them. Take a quick look.
A few months ago, I received an email from a colleague of mine in Spain. The first line really caught my attention. After nearly 7 years, I can say this mission is accomplished thanks to GPT-4 in action.
This is called Dx-GPT, and this is in full production in Madrid. We can say that technology can change the time to diagnosis from years to minutes.
My name is Julian Isla. I'm a resource manager in industry solution delivery in Microsoft.
My son is 16 years old, and he has Dravet syndrome.
Inspired by his own struggle to correctly diagnose his son, he's dedicated years to build and deploy an AI-powered diagnostic tool for rare diseases.
When I sent the first email to Satya 7 years ago, I asked for help. I asked for help and the connection to the people developing the latest technology. He streamlined the connection, but the big change for us happened
when GPT 3.5 appeared. We realized the importance of large language models for our tool, and this changed everything. Thanks to AI advances over the past few years, Dx-GPT is now a reality. It's being used to identify rare diseases. Patients and doctors can now find diagnosis in minutes, not months or even years. This is simply astounding.
I feel that we did what we have to do. The disease of my son was the energy to create a tool that right now is able to help so many patients.
So this is the URL of that application. You can go to the DXGPT, search for it, and It's easy to locate it. The thing is, Jamie, that this is another example of it, right? And it's free, and Microsoft is actually supporting it. It's part of the nonprofit initiative, another organization, but Microsoft is a technology partner, right? So, this again, I think is a great example of how AI can literally actually make the difference in the world.
Yeah, and I love that story, and not only that, but the application. We talk about business use, like making a better tool or model to drive revenue, or look at healthcare claims. But at the end of the day, it's if we're able to use this technology to help people, that's really the value add of it. So great story, great tool, and I know a couple people that might be interested in just understanding that this thing exists.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, uh, I would be bit hesitant in using it. I don't want to discover something based on the regular. So be careful how you use it. But I think it doesn't hurt if you have something that is remaining like undiagnosed or you're not convinced. Definitely worth actually starting. It is, of course, it's a long journey. They have been trying it out for years. And I think with this new wave of AI, they have actually kind of like made it very, very reliable.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. I think that's about it for this week. And when we meet next week, we'll talk more and maybe similar use cases as well of how AI is making change to the world.
Yeah, I call it AI for good. How we could use it. But yeah, great episode. Looking forward to next time we chat, and have a good week, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Jimmy.